Welcome to the channel. I'm Oliver and this is Tech in the Car, and this car is a Honda ZR-V, and this might well be the best, most efficient mid-sized SUV you can get, because this SUV uses the same technology as all the other Honda models in the UK, which is their eHEV hybrid system, which means that it doesn't actually, at least very, very rarely, uses the engine to power the wheels. We'll get onto that in a little bit, but what it does mean is this is a very unconventional hybrid, and in the UK, Hondas are only available with these eHEV hybrid powertrains, with the exception of the Civic Type R. Every single Honda model, be it the Jazz, the CR-V, the HR-V, the ZR-V, they are all hybrids. You can check out my videos on the hybrid Civic and the hybrid Jazz on this channel too. So is this car as efficient as I think it is? Let's find out. Let's talk design. So any hybrid Honda has a blue around the badge there, so it lets you know that you've got a hybrid Honda, which is very, very good to know. And then we've got this grille here. Now this grille actually reminds me a bit of Ford. It's actually quite common now in the newest Hondas, and it's quite distinctive, but still a bit of Ford, maybe a bit of Aston Martin even going on there. Interesting design. And then we got these lights, and we've got quite distinctive daytime running lights, which are a sort of a double design here. And actually this car is very sporty. This is a sport trim. And then we've got these vents down here, which may be real vents. Yep, they are real vents. There's one down there. And then it's all black down here, which is a really nice contrast with the red here. And I think overall this has got a very distinctive and sporty look on this, which is the sport trim version of this car. Let's get on to the eHEV power plant, which is behind what makes this car so efficient and which makes a Honda range in the UK so interesting. So we've got a 2-litre engine here in the car, but it rarely uses the engine to actually power the wheels, because there are actually 2 electric motors in this car. And what happens is when you start the car up, it runs in battery mode, in electric mode, and it will give you a range in electric mode. And then when you start to get a bit more power required, the engine will turn on, and the engine will provide power to the motors. So the engine will essentially provide electricity and charge to the batteries, to the motors, so the car can drive on. Now, as you start to get to faster speeds, at that point, the engine will take over and it will directly power the wheels. But when you get really fast, the engine will then power the electric motors. What that means is actually the engine isn't running very much for very long in comparison to a traditional hybrid and car, and it means you get much better efficiency also, because you've got the battery in there and you've got the electric motors. It means that you have better torque. So even though this is a 2-litre engine, Honda says it gives equivalent performance to a 3-litre engine with more torque and more power. In fact, we have 135 kilowatts of power and 315 newton meters of torque, and this car can do 0 to 62 in 7.8 seconds, which we'll test out a bit later. All Honda models in the UK have this eHEV hybrid system, with the exception of the Civic Type R, but in the rest of the world, including the US, it isn't always necessarily available. In fact, in the US, you can't get it at all, which is really, really interesting, because in the US, all Toyotas are actually running hybrids, but not in the UK. So interesting to see how car manufacturers' policies towards the different countries and their customers changes what they provide in terms of their engines, and whether they're hybrids or not. Let's talk about the wheels. We've got 18-inch wheels all the way around the range, but on the advanced trim, they're diamond cut. Otherwise, they're not. I actually really like this black matte design, and that's probably my choice to go for. I think it complements this color really well, but with advanced, you do get diamond cut finishes. Let's talk about where this car fits into the range. So we've got the smaller version of Honda's SUV, the HR-V, and then we've got the larger version, the CR-V. The ZR-V sits right in the middle there as a mid-sized SUV crossover car. So we know where it sits, and it's in similar size to the Audi Q4 e-tron, for example, if you want some sort of benchmark to see that. So here at the back, you can definitely see that Porsche Cayenne kind of vibe with the arches and the sloping roof line. I actually really like the back design of this car more than the front design of this car. Here at the back of the ZR-V, we have some interesting details. So for example, we've got 3 little LEDs here in the back of the lights. I've never seen that before. That's an interesting detail. We've also got squarish exhaust pipes, which remind me a bit of a Mercedes AMG, and we've definitely got that Porsche vibe with the back. And then if we open it up, we do of course have an automatic electric tailgate, which also will close if you walk away from it. So if you're picking stuff up out the back, like you might be doing around the Christmas time, and you walk away, you don't have to worry about pressing the button to close it, because this button will make sure it closes when you walk away. Really, really nice feature that is. In terms of space here, we've got 380 litres, which is actually a bit smaller than the Honda Civic. So the Civic actually has more space, but this has got a wider opening. You've got more space to put stuff in. You can, of course, put the back seats down, and you do have lots of hooks and tether points. If you walk away, it should close by itself. That's a very handy feature to have. In the back of this car, I am not short on space. I'm 1.78 m, and I've actually got plenty of headroom, plenty of knee room. Got two USB Type-C connectors there. We've got pockets here. We've got cup holders. Let's talk interior tech in this car. So remember, this is a hybrid, and so it's got some quirky hybrid related features. Actually, it's not so much a quirk as a useful feature of this car. When you start it up like it is now, you can't hear anything. There's no engine because it's in EV mode initially. And to be honest, most of the time it uses EV mode when you're in the city. It's only when you start going on faster drives that it starts using the engine to power the batteries, to power the motors, and only when you get to a certain speed does the engine actually kick in and directly power the wheels. And then when you get even faster than that, it actually goes back to powering the motors. So really you're using electric power as your primary means of propulsion most of the time in this car. So first of all, let's start off with a digital driver's display. This is a digital driver's display, and it's very easy to use. You can use a little wheel down here to scroll through and change between the options. So you can have whatever you want on this side. So it might be your media, might be your apps, might be you want to customize the display. You have the option here, which makes it really, really customizable. And on the other side, we have a similar ability to control what it shows. Right now, we've got the hill hold assist going on here, but we can rotate through the various options so you can choose there what you want to use. So it's really quite intuitive and easy system to use. And I really like the Honda little car here, which the lines show up when you have the adaptive cruise control and lane assist, which is standard on this car. Looking at the infotainment system, you can see with the infotainment system, we have this traditional new style Honda system, which is very, very familiar to all the other Hondas. It's easy enough to go through the settings and go to DAB or Bluetooth or FM or back to home. You can see your smartphone connection if you have Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. I don't know who Bob is. And we can also see our power flow, which shows us our range, and our MPG, which is very useful because this is a super efficient car. Down here, you can see these really cool air vents, which hide the air vents. So we've got this mesh design, which hides the air vents. I quite like that. That's on all the Hondas as well. And then we do have physical buttons down here and knobs that you can use to turn the heating up and down and on and off, which Honda haven't skipped on. And then we've got our wireless charging port, our cup holders here, which have got plenty of space, and then our very, very cool McLaren-esque design buttons, drive, neutral, park, or put it into reverse by pressing that button and put it back into park like that. We've got our drive mode buttons down here and our e-handbrake and our park hold. Just very, very easy to use car. And the steering wheel equally is super easy to use and understand. We've got our volume controls for our media and our driver assistance on the side here. So very simple to use system, easy to use, has everything you could want. I just don't understand why this is slightly to the left-hand side, because Japan drives on the same side as the UK, and I don't know why it does that, but it's strange. So that's the technology inside the car. Now let's take it for a drive and see if it gives us the efficiency that I hope it does with the eHEV system, and also if it can really do 0 to 62 miles an hour in 7.8 seconds. Let's check that out now. So does the new ZR-V give us the kind of economy that we would hope for from this, that I've anticipated based off the eHEV engine system, hybrid system powertrain? Well, first of all, I'm driving in the town, and for driving in the town, I have a big green EV showing on my infotainment digital driver's display. and it also has lots of driver assistance technology as well. But I'm in EV mode right now, and as I'm navigating these streets, I'm not using any fuel. The engine is not running. We're running off the battery power from this car. Now, obviously, when we pick up the speed a bit, it will still use the battery and the motors, and they'll be powered by the engines. But right now, we're just purely running off EV, which means we can drive in the city, in the town, up and down the road you live in, and it's quiet and very, very, very efficient. I mean, what more could you possibly want? In actual fact, this car picks up speed very well, and the fact that it is a hybrid now means when I put my foot down a tiny bit here, I'm getting really, really good pickup. We've got a good amount of torque here, about 315 Newton meters of torque, which combines with the hybrid power system to make you feel like, according to Honda, you're driving a 3-litre internal combustion engine, but with much more efficiency. In terms of its steering and its handling, very, very precise for what it is. I know where I am. I'm turning in the corners exactly right, and it handles great. Right, let's test the 0 to 60 time on this. Go! So it's meant to be 7.8 seconds. Are we going to do it faster than 7.8 seconds? Not quite. So I've done this a few times now, and I've averaged out about 8.5 seconds. So we're not going to get any faster than that, I don't think, today. When I started this video, I asked, is this the most efficient mid-size SUV you can get as a hybrid? And the answer, I think, is yes. Ignoring the average mileage right now, because I've been doing 0 to 60 times, we've been averaging about 54 to 55 miles per gallon, which means this car is getting around 400 miles on a 3/4 full tank. So it's very, very efficient. And obviously, when it transfers into EV mode, it's then using no petrol, and the range will increase. So I think the answer to that question is, this is the most efficient mid-size SUV you can get. This ZR-V is the best, most efficient mid-range SUV that you can get right now, in my opinion. Its eHEV technology is unrivaled, meaning that you get mileage that you don't get in other models. And it means you also get that electric-only charge that you can use to drive around in. It's comfortable, it's safe, and it's got all the latest tech, and it's incredibly good value. Thanks for watching. Give me a thumbs up and subscribe down below.